Hey guys, welcome back to the History Shelf. My name's Peg. Thanks for being here. So today we're going to be looking at some fiction. I thought, you know what, let's shake it up a bit. Um, we cover obviously lots of history on this channel, but we also cover lots of different type of fiction too. Obviously, if you've been watching the channel for a long time, you know that I enjoy historical fiction. I enjoy reading classics. I enjoy reading mystery and thrillers, and also the occasional horror story or horror novel. So I still get in a fair amount of fiction, and I review a lot of fiction as well. Um, but this video is going to mix them up a bit. I've got some historical fiction. I've got some like contemporary new novels that have come out. Um, I've got some that are kind of hard to categorize, but I thought we would just make this the fiction edition of the History Shelf today. So, thanks for joining me, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. You can take a look through my backlog to kind of get the flavor of this channel. Obviously, it's heavy on history, historical fiction, but yes, occasionally, and if history's not your thing, but you like fiction, it doesn't pay to subscribe just because the fact that I am getting a lot of contemporary fiction sent to me now from publishers. So I'm happy to share those here on the channel. So without any further ado, let's start with a trilogy, historical fiction, that I discovered through my work as a reviews editor at Historical Novel Society. So this is historical fiction slash mystery that I have never heard of before, and I am excited to read. This is from Atria Books, and I want to thank Atria for connecting me with this author and this author's work. I have the 3 books right here, and I hope to start these in the fall. Let's start with this book, and the author's name is Nicholas Not Okdog. Yes, it's Swedish. He's a Swedish author, and it is 1793, The Wolf and the Watchman. Nicholas Not Okdog. This is the first book in this trilogy. I know there's a huge book talk community. I will. That's just one platform I will not be on. I know it probably does me damage by not broadening my reach, but I don't care. I think TikTok is very, very dangerous. I don't think, I just don't want my stuff out there for China to get their little fingers into. But thank you, Tor Publishing Group. I don't know why this was stuck in here when this is Atria Books, but that's okay. I'm not sure how that ended up in here. Okay, let's move on. Atria Books. Also, the imprint is also known as Washington Square Press. Okay, one morning in the autumn of 1793, Watchman Mikael Cardell is awakened by reports of a body seen floating in the Larder, a rancid bog on Stockholm's southern isle. Efforts to identify the bizarrely mutilated remains are entrusted to the brilliant investigator Cecil Wing, who enlists Cardell's help to find out who is behind this heinous act. Wing and Cardell soon become immersed in the city's underground network of gutter snipes and thieves, mercenaries and madams. Their investigation peels back layer upon layer of the labyrinthine society around them, from a farmer's son who is led down a treacherous path when he seeks his fortune in the capital, to an orphan girl consigned to the workhouse by a merciless parish priest. The rich and the poor, the pious and the fallen, the living and the dead, all collide and connect with the body pulled from the lake. Breathtakingly bold, intricately constructed, and wholly engrossing, this dazzling debut has captivated readers around the world. Interesting thing about his name, it says here, I'm reading about the author on the back. So Niklas Not Okdog is a member of Sweden's oldest surviving noble family. His last name translates in English as night and day. That makes sense. not dog. Yeah, dog. That's interesting. But this was his first novel. It was published in 35 countries. So it sounds like a great historical fiction mystery thriller. And then he came back with 1794, The City Between the Bridges. So I'm really excited to get back into this, or to get back into reading just like big trilogies. I mentioned in my last video, I'm reading the second in a trilogy on the Berlin airlift, and it's just smashing. I'm just really loving it. I consider this author like an indie author, but she is killing it. She needs to have a wider stage. She's just great. So I'm excited, like I said, to get back into books that have like multiple books in the series. So 1794. So this brings back the Mikhail Cardell. Mikhail Cardell. Okay. Like I said, I don't want to read the back because I don't want to learn anything that might spoil my reading of the first book. But I just wanted to show you that this author is out there. If you have not heard of these novels, and they're set in Stockholm in the late 18th century, it has mysteries. I mean, how can you... Those to me are my favorite types of mysteries, are the like historical ones. And then his most recent book that just came out, and I have it in hardcover because it's still very new. And I don't know if he's going to continue. It could be more than 3 novels. I don't know. Yeah, so this book, I got it in hardcover, and third, 1795, The Order of the Furies. I think we just reviewed this one, actually, in Historical Novels Review. Another editor asked for this book, and she got it, and she reviewed it. But I am really intrigued, and I want to check it out myself. And, okay, I got my answer. This is the finale. So it is a trilogy. I'll be curious to see if Nicholas, not Okdag, comes back with anything historical later on. Okay, so very excited to test the waters with this new historical mystery fiction series. So by Nicholas, not Okdag. Okay. Yes, and then this one is more of like a contemporary novel. It's by oh, you know what? Should I have... You know what? I might save this as well for another... I'll show it, but I think I should probably save this for an indie author spotlight, but I'm going to show it because this is out right now, I think. It's this woman's debut novel, and I was contacted by the publicist. And you know, I normally don't read stories like this, but it sounds like it could be a quick read, a nice, you know, summer day read. And I love helping out indie authors. So anyway, we've got this new book out by Susan Cisco Carter called The Lyric Hotel, a novel. And there's our author with a little sassy self out there on the street. All right, so what is The Lyric Hotel about, guys? Let's see if some of you out there might be interested in checking this out. This was published by Atmosphere Press. All right. Also, I'm trying to work on lowering the camera because I've gotten a couple of comments about it, and Martine has talked about it. I've pulled the webcam a little lower down, and I'm trying to make it better. Can someone let me know in this video if it's bothering you less, me looking? I don't feel like I'm looking up. I mean, I've looked at other booktubers, and sometimes they look up, you know. I know Bookish does that. He stands and he's got like he's looking up, you know. But I don't think it's that distracting that I'm. Is it distracting to you guys? Anyway. I just need your feedback now and then, but I am trying to make some adjustments to be closer to you. Okay, so let's get into The Lyric Hotel. 6 months after the loss of her husband, Jeanette moves to the last place she felt truly alive, the Lyric Hotel in West Hollywood, where she once spent a night with a musician, a night that changed the course of her life. A successful director of commercials, Jeanette doesn't tell her rep. She doesn't tell her oldest friend, not even her mother. She vanishes from the world she knew and takes up residence in a hotel that caters to musicians on the road. At the hotel, Jeanette can be the architect of her evolving self, a woman unfettered by pre-existing conditions of who she was or wasn't. Jeanette's quest to lose herself is funny and heartbreaking as she encounters an assortment of complicated men. But there is one constant: longing, like the longing of a Brandy Carlisle song or the moan of an electric guitar through the wall of her junior suite. Inspired by Susan Cisco Carter's real-life adventures, wow, the Lyric Hotel is an escape. And we need that right now, don't we? Is an escape from a harsh world to a place where a privacy please sign keeps out the past, so the present might flourish. Oh, all right. So this one, if you're kind of like, you like novels that have like musicians and stuff and lyrics and music references, this could be your gig. No pun intended. Oh my gosh, that was good. Yeah, I'll come back to you after I've, I think this won't take me too long to get through. If you want me to come back and listen, you know what? When I do my next indie author spotlight, I'll include this one because I try to do at least 2 or 3 books in those videos. So I can come back to this one and let you know what I thought. But I wanted to put this out there for you guys. All right, and thank you, Brandon, for the review copy. I appreciate that. This book is coming out. Oh my gosh. I mean, I really got a way advanced review. This is not until December. I think I should wait. I'm going to wait, you guys. Sorry to do that to you. Oh, the power is intoxicating. Sorry. Okay. All right, here we go. This novel comes out October 1st. It is from publishing house, which again is kind of new to me, called Zando. It's kind of a fun name. And this is what they call a preview edition. This is The Story of the Forest, a novel by Linda Grant. Again, all right, so what are we looking at here? It's 1913 when Mina, the young and carefree daughter of a Jewish merchant, roams into a forest on the edge of the Baltic Sea looking for mushrooms. Instead, she encounters a gang of unruly, charismatic Bolsheviks. Oh, heaven forfend! Not Bolsheviks. That's just worse, They're always crashing the party. Those damn Bolsheviks. So she encounters a gang of unruly Bolsheviks. Is there any other kind? An adventure that will become the stuff of familial lore for generations to come. Intending to save herself from further corruption, and in an act that forever changes the trajectory of their family's life, Mina and her eldest brother, Jossel, board a ship to England. There, the threat of a different war looms large. When World War I hits, Jossel is sent to the front, where he keeps a severely wounded soldier in his unit alive until morning by telling him tales, including that his sister Mina will marry the soldier if he survives. You are a bad, bad brother. The soldier lives, surprise, and asks for Mina's hand. Their marriage uniting 2 growing trade dynasties. But over time, Mina and Jossel will learn that not everyone in their family has survived the wars and pogroms, even as they and their offspring struggle to build new lives in Liverpool in the midst of ever-shifting discriminations. Oh, this is fascinating. Based on the author's own family history and legends, The Story of the Forest is a remarkable record of family lore, a meditation on the power of stories to ground us, particularly in the face of life's inevitable losses, told with a keen wit and a sharp eye, to the charms and the foibles of family by masterful British novelist Linda Grant. So she's British. Okay. That sounds really good, though. I'm very intrigued by this. Oh, no, we've got... This is nothing against you and Linda Grant. I do not care for blurbs from actresses and actors and celebrities. I do not care a whit for that. That doesn't means nothing to me. That just Sarah Jessica Parker loves this book. And I got a nice note in here. Thank you for taking a look. Absolutely, this should be a really good story. I will read it closer to October. Again, publishes October 1st from Zando Books, Zando Imprint, I believe it's called. SJP Lit, a Zando imprint. Okay. Yeah, I don't need Sarah Jessica Parker on there, but the story itself sells it to me. The description, that's what sells it. So, all right. I'll take a look at this as we get closer to October. This one I meant to show you sooner. I think it's... No, okay, we still have time on this one. This comes out next month, September. It is a novel. Oh, fantastic. You know what? Sometimes we're going to take a little personal moment here. So if you need to go to the bathroom and you just want to see books and you don't want to hear about my personal story, then you can step out of the room right now. So at my work retreat last week, we had motivational speakers, obviously not motivational speakers, but we had different speakers and different panels and things happening. And one of the sessions, the speaker wanted to show us a TED Talk that he really highly recommended. And I had meant while I was watching it, I'm like, remember that woman's name, because she is a Nigerian writer. And her story she told on the TED Talk was fascinating, about the power of the single story, about how we tell ourselves a story about other people. And we don't allow people to be themselves. We just assume, identity for other people or something like that. And her name was, Nigerian, and I was trying to remember it. And I remember the only thing I could remember was her first name was Chimamanda. And I'm like, when you get back home, let's look her up on YouTube and see if she's got some other talks. And I'd like to discover her books. Well, check this out. This is not by her. But what's serendipity that I had just learned about this woman last week. And for this new novel coming out called Yoruba Boy Running by Biyi Bandele, there is a blurb on the cover from that woman, and I recognized it immediately. This is the woman I saw on the TED Talk about the power of the single story. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And she calls this writer, Biyi Bandele, a true artist, a brilliant writer, an original thinker. So anyway, this book comes out next month. It's Yoruba Boy Running. It's put up by Harper. I don't know if I have the exact date that it comes out. It just says September 2024. Okay, so let me tell you what this book is about. So if you're curious, check out Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And her TED Talk was really inspiring and helped me to kind of... It's good to get shaken out of your own... the wheelhouse that you think out of in your head, to get out of that one and get into someone else's wheelhouse and just learn. Just shut up and listen. And don't presuppose that you know something about someone that you couldn't possibly know. Anyway, thank you for that little... if you're back from the bathroom, hey, welcome back. We're done talking about my life. All right. All right, so this is a captivating fictionalized retelling of African linguist and clergyman Samuel Ajayi Crowther's miraculous journey from slave to liberator. Oh, this is great. Oh, so B.A. Bandele looks like he passed away. Is it a he? I don't know yet. Hang on. Yes. He passed away in 2022. Oh, man, he was young. He was born in 1967. Oh, no. Oh, wow. All right. Well, we're gonna read this book, Yoruba Boy Running. Run, Ajayi, run. When Malayan slave traders invaded the Nigerian town of Osugun, 13-year-old Ajayi's life is split in two. Before, there was his childhood, surrounded by friends and family, watched over by the ancient Yoruba gods of forest and water, earth and sky. After, there was capture, slavery, and eventually release, with Ajayi left transfigured, unrecognizable, and now in the service of a new god, with a new name, and a culture different from the one left far behind. Ajayi becomes Samuel Crowther, missionary, linguist, minister, and later abolitionist, driven to negotiate against his own people Oh, that's potent. Driven to negotiate against his own people to end the evil trade in human beings that destroyed his family and transformed his own life. That's another side to slavery that you don't, the stories that you don't hear about. But they happened. Drawing on the prolific writings of Samuel Ajayi Crowther, novelist and filmmaker, Biyi Bandele creates a many-voiced, kaleidoscopic portrait of an extraordinary man. From the heart-stopping drama of Ajayi's last day of freedom to the farcical intrigue of the Osogun court, from a meeting with Queen Victoria to consecration as the first African bishop of the Anglican Church, Samuel Ajayi Crowther's journey, like all great odysseys, circles back to where he began. By turns witty, moving, and revolutionary, Bandele's reimagining of Crowther's life is a brilliant tour de force. So it's his imagining of his life. So this is going to be good. So this is what you might call biographical fiction, and I enjoy that as well. I know that it's a genre of historical fiction that can be it's kind of dicey because you don't really know, like, you're assuming the reader is going to go along with you and saying, oh yes, this person would have thought that or said that, and it does require a certain amount of grace amongst the readers to just say, look, it's a work of fiction. They're imagining their lives. Like when I read Finding Margaret Fuller, right? Brilliant book. I enjoyed it. Was that the real Margaret Fuller? Of course not, because, the author was not in her mind and she wasn't there, but she imagined it. And it was still a wonderfully told story. Same with the last two books I read of, like Florence Nightingale, The Flight of the Wild Swan, fantastic. Recently read and reviewed, my review has not been published yet because I don't think the book is out yet, but Rebecca Godfrey, her last novel before she passed away 2 years ago, which is really sad. She has a new novel coming out called Peggy, and it's about Peggy Guggenheim. And she imagines her early life and how she started, meeting all the bohemians and living in Paris and all this kind of stuff. So you just have to remember, it's someone's imagining of that life. It's not that actual person, writing down their thoughts. But still in all, I like that genre of historical fiction. It just kind of makes that person more human. It kind of, personalizes them for you and makes them just seem more real, more touchable, more accessible. But I'm very excited about Yoruba Boy Running, and the fact that serendipity moment, there is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Yeah, I loved her TED Talk. So, you know what? I'll see if I can find it, and I'll link it below in the description box if you're interested. So this book comes out next month from Harper. So check it out. Okay, I'm rambling a little bit too much. This is a book that we have reviewed, I think, in the August issue, which is almost out, of Historical Novels Review. I had an uncorrected proof, but it came out in July. And I've seen this author before because he's writing a really, really different series. It's something he calls Norman Locke's American Novels series, but this is the new book in that series, and this is called The Caricurist by Norman Locke. And what a fantastic piece of artwork there. Someone's head just exploding. Okay. Wow. Yeah, so he has written other books in this. I think I've read one of them. It was about, Voices in the Dead House. That's the one I read. That was about Lincoln, the Lincolns, and their spiritualist. But these are the books in his series. Other books in the American Novel series. So I have read Voices in the Dead House. I should check out some of these others, but this is his most recent one in that series. And what it is the series is that he just kind of moves through, he tells stories about America through these stories, moving through different eras. Okay, so this one sounds so up my alley. I can't believe I haven't gotten to this one yet. It's got a great blurb from Joyce Carol Oates, who I'm starting to get back into again because I recently finished her most recent novel, and it was like, oh, maybe she's turning a corner. Maybe she's turning a corner a little bit. Really enjoyed it. To me, it was more historical fiction than anything else. It was called Butcher, anyway. Which is, kind of the par for the course for Joyce Carol Oates. She has very dark themes. This one was not as dark. It was dark. It wasn't as dark as I was expecting. I was expecting to have she can get gory too. So there's times where, you just don't want to be eating any food when she's writing. But this one was more psychological and actually had, to me, a sort of happy ending. I know, right? Joyce Carol Oates, a happy ending? What? It never happens. All right, Oliver Fisher, a self-styled bohemian, boardwalk caricaturist and student at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, enrages his banker father and earns the contempt of Philadelphia's foremost realist painter, Thomas Eakins, when he attempts to stage Manet's scandalous painting, The Luncheon on the Grass. What was so scandalous about that? Soon after, he is ensnarled, along with Mark Twain and Andrew Carnegie, in a clash between the Anti-Imperialist League and their expansionist foes. Sent to Key West to sketch the 1898 American invasion of Cuba, in company with war correspondent Stephen Crane, he realizes, in the flash of a naval bombardment, that our lives are suspended by a thread between radiance and annihilation. Okay, so we're coming to the end of this series. It says here The Caricaturist is the penultimate standalone book in the American novel series, is a tragicomic portrait of America struggling to honor its most cherished ideals at the dawn of the 20th century. And this is put out by Bellevue Literary Press. So I'm glad I got a copy from them because I do want to read this and I do want to check out the others in the series as well. So thank you, Bellevue Literary Press. You guys are great to work with. And that is covered in our historical novels review issue for August. So yay. Someone else wrote the review for that one. I didn't. I wrote 3 for this last issue, and I've got 2 scheduled for the next. And those reviews are due in September, middle of September. Okay. Oh, so remember how I mentioned before that sometimes in this channel I like to read a horror story or horror novels? I'm getting stoked again. It always happens. Sometime in late July, I'm already like, woo, fall is coming, even though we are broiling here and we have forest fires. We can hardly do any yard work outside. The smoke here has been so bad, you can't see the mountains. Martine's asthma has been just kicked up. Even I was hacking up gunk staying in my hotel room for this work retreat because a few times I went outside to walk to lunches or dinners with people. It was just gunk in the air. It's horrible. And anyway, today is 90, 100 degrees. It's something ridiculous. And tomorrow's going to be just as hot. So anyway, that's when I start dreaming about fall, and that's when I always think about Halloween and those runs of scary movies and just the reruns. Love it. So now I'm so excited. This is an adult horror book. The good folks at Nightfire, which is an imprint, I believe, of Tor. Nightfire is their new their horror imprint now for Tor. I believe it's Tor. Tor and Forge, they're kind of both related. I'm starting to really become an expert, not right now, but I'm getting close to becoming an expert on imprints and which publishers reside under other major publishers. There's so many different publishing houses. This is from Tor Publishing Group, but Nightfire is their horror line. So this is Devils Kill Devils by Johnny Compton. And this comes out next month as well. Very excited. Devils Kills Devils. A small read, but slim read. I could take this out in a couple days here. When all hell breaks loose, you better have a devil on your side. That's what this says. Sarita has been watched over by a guardian angel her entire life. She calls him Angelo and keeps him a secret, but secrets can't stay buried forever. When Angelo murders someone she loves, Sarita begins to see what's really been lurking in the shadows surrounding her, and she will have to embrace the evil within if she hopes to make it out alive. Wow. Johnny Compton, master of dread and critically acclaimed author of The Spite House, takes you on a terrifying race of one woman against the hordes of hell. So that is vague enough that it doesn't, give away the goods. I kind of like that. As long as the book doesn't stink, I really like a vague description because I want to be surprised. I don't want to know the whole layout of the story going into it. I just take me on the ride, as it were. And I haven't read his Spite House, but there's lots of blurbs in there for that. The Spite House, I guess it was named one of the best horror books of 2023. So, this has got to be good, right? Tell you what, if I like this one, I'll go back and I'll check out the Spite House. So check it. If you like a good horror movie, well, if you like those too, but a good horror novel, and you're looking for something new that you haven't heard of yet, this one's coming out next month. I don't have the exact date yet, but you could look that up on Amazon. It'll give you the publishing date right next to the title. All right, so thank you, Nightfire. 30 minutes. I got 4 more books, so let me try to. You gotta crank. Okay, this is from Shawkin Books, which is a publisher in New York that I have read before. I am aware of them, but I became even more aware of this imprint, Shawkin. Okay. After I read a novel that I actually reviewed for the August issue of Historical Novels Review, which is Life After Kafka. It's a work in translation. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the author's name. But anyway, the crux of that was that it was about how the letters that Franz Kafka wrote to Felice were finally tracked down by Felice's son and this publisher in New York, Shawkin, who desperately wanted to publish them. So I read a lot about and learned a lot about that in that historical novel. And you'll know that if you go to the Shawkin Press, they basically, I think they have a purview over the Franz Kafka library of sorts. They have published his most recent, the new edition of Franz Kafka's diaries. They've been putting out a lot of stuff on Kafka. So anyway, so then I saw this novel when I was on the Shawkin website. I need to find out how to pronounce that. And this sounded fantastic. This is called The Red Balcony by Jonathan Wilson, a novel of love and conflict in Palestine under the British Mandate. And then you've got, how interesting, you've got the, can you see this? A seductive, so you've got the blurbs all around the sides. Okay. I just thought this would be an important book to read right now. Just history can tell us much about the present. So this actually came out last year, but I was able to get a copy of this. So it says here, it's 1933. And Ivor Castle, Oxford-educated and Jewish, arrives in Palestine, then under the British Mandate, to take up a position as assistant to the defense counsel on a sensational trial. He will help represent 2 men accused of murdering Haim Orlosorov, a leader of the Jewish community in Palestine, whose efforts to get Jews out of Hitler's Germany and into Palestine may have been controversial enough to get him killed. Ivor, an innocent to the politics of the case, falls into bed and deeply in love with Siona, a free-spirited artist who may be a key witness. While Ivor learns the hard way about the violence simmering just beneath the surface of British colonial rule, Wilson dazzles with his portrayal of a complex sun-drenched landscape and the warring agendas among the Jews, Arabs, and British. As Ivor travels between the crime scene in Tel Aviv and the maze-like streets of Jerusalem, between the mysteries of this notorious case and lovemaking in Shiona's studio, he must discover where his heart lies, whether he cares more for the law or the truth, and where and with whom he truly belongs. For the reader, this gripping historical novel provides foundational pieces in the insoluble puzzle of a region whose struggles still tear us apart. Whoever wrote that last sentence, hats off to you. there's no better way to describe the whole situation with Israel and Palestine. An insoluble puzzle whose struggles still tear us apart. Very accurate. So this sounds like a really good read. This is out right now, actually, so I just wanted to share that with you. Then I stumbled across, so these are 2 books by Shokin, and I was able to get both of these copies, so thank you, Shokin Press. I definitely think you get a lot of Jewish literature in novels, as well as history from Shokin books. So here's another one, and this is called Poland, A Green Land by Aharon Appelfeld. And it's a beautiful hardcover, and look at this beautiful cover. Just different shades of green. I don't even know if the camera can fully pick it up, and it almost looks like there's a rainbow or something coming across, but it's just all these different shades of green. Again, from Shokin Press. This, let's see here. This also came out late last year. Let's see. A Tel Aviv shopkeeper visits his parents' Polish birthplace in an attempt to come to terms with their complex legacy and is completely unprepared for what he finds there. There you go. Yakov finds practical wife and daughters are baffled by his decision to leave his flourishing dress shop for a 10-day trip to his family's ancestral village in Poland. Struggling to emerge from a midlife depression, Yakov is drawn to... it's hard to pronounce these names. There's so many consonants in the Polish naming system. And people think I'm Polish because of my last name. And you know what? I've talked about this before on this channel, and I could be. I don't know. I grew up knowing that I'm German, that my grandfather was born in Wittkow, Germany. But that could be fairly close to Poland. But anyway, Yakov is drawn to Zdowce. It's a name of a city, Szydowce. He's drawn there, intrigued by the stories he'd heard as a child from his parents and their friends, who would wax nostalgic about their pastoral, verdant hometown in the decades before 1939. The horrific years that followed were relegated to nightmares that shattered sleep and were not discussed during waking hours. When he arrives in Krakow, Yakov enjoys the charming sidewalk cafes and relaxed European atmosphere, so different from the hurly-burly of Tel Aviv. And his landlady in Zdowce, beautiful, sensual Magda, with a tragic past of her own, enchants him with her recollections of his family. But when Yakov attempts to purchase from the townspeople the desecrated tombstones that had been stolen from Zdowce's plowed-under Jewish cemetery, a very different Poland emerges. One that shatters Yakov's idyllic view of the town and its people, and casts into sharp relief the tragic reality of Jewish life in Poland. Past, present, and future. In this novel of revelation and reconciliation, Aharon Appelfeld once again mines lived experience to create fiction of powerful, universal resonance. So I'm guessing what happens is the anti-Semitism of the Polish people will probably be the big factor here. Because we know that, Poland is a very heavily Roman Catholic country. So there was always, obviously, many Polish Jews, but the whole state itself, when it was back, it's a stable country now. I'm saying back in the 20th century, between the Nazis and the Russians, and and then going even further back, Poland, they had their country taken away from them a few times. So, but they were a Roman Catholic country. They're very strongly Catholic. And there could be that element there of anti-Semitism. So it sounds like that's what he's going to be digging into here. So it sounds like a compelling novel, and I wanted to check it out. And I really enjoy what Shokin Books has been doing, especially with their work around Franz Kafka. Okay, 2 more books. Okay, let's start with this one. This book comes out in September. historical novels review, will be reviewing this one. But I also want to read it. This comes out September 17th. And if you like, again, we're going back to like historical fiction, biographical fiction. This is one of these, and it sounds like it's a must-read. And it's also got another blurb from Joyce Carol Oates, so now you know it's going to be really good. Check this out, you guys. The Wilds, a novel in 5 acts by Louis Bayard. Look at that, Joyce Carol Oates right on the front there. Yes! And this is from Algonquin Books. So let's give you a little bit about this. I don't have a pub sheet. Okay, give you a good look, and now I'm going to read the back. Oh, Lordy, help me. In September of 1892, Oscar Wilde and his family have retreated to the idyllic Norfolk countryside for a holiday. His wife, Constance, has every reason to be happy. 2 beautiful sons, her own work as an advocate for feminist causes, and a delightfully charming and affectionate husband and father to her children, who also happens to be the most sought-after author in England. But with the arrival of an unexpected house guest, the aristocratic young poet, Lord Alfred Douglas, Constance gradually and then all at once comes to see that her husband's heart is elsewhere, and that the growing intensity between the 2 men threatens the whole foundation of their lives. The Wilds, a novel in 5 acts, takes readers on the emotional journey of this family, moving from the Italian countryside, where Constance Wilde flees from the aftermath of Oscar's imprisonment for homosexuality, to the trenches of World War I and an underground bar in London Soho, where Oscar's sons, Cyril and Vivian, must both grapple with their father's legacy. That I would find interesting. I'd like to read that. I mean, I know it's fiction, but I never really knew much about their children. Anyway, and in a brilliant feat of the imagination, Act 5 reunites the entire cast in a surprising, poignant, and tremendously satisfying tableau. Oh. Maybe in heaven? Maybe? I'm just thinking. Maybe the author's going to surprise us and really try to be a tearjerker. Huh? Anyway, with Louis Bayard's trademark sparkling dialogue and deep insight into the lives and longings of all his characters, The Wilds could almost have been created by Oscar Wilde himself. Lightly told, but with hidden depths, it is an entertaining and dramatic story about the human condition. So this book promises it's got a good length. It's 296 pages, so I think it can do what it says it's going to do within that with that page count. In other words, so a novel in 5 acts, Louis Bayard's The Wilds, September 17th, you guys. It's going to be fun. It should be a good book. All right, and then this other book is another one we're covering for Historical Novels Review. And I do have a pub sheet. Yay! This is from Bloomsbury. And I actually asked for this so that we could cover it. I work with Bloomsbury as part of my assigned set of publishers that I work with, and to cover reviews for the HNR. And I looked this one up. I saw it was coming, and I said, I think we need to cover this. So this is by Neil Williams. He's an Irish writer. This is Time of the Child. And apparently Ann Patchett is such a fan of Neil Williams. Comes out November. I don't have an exact date in November. Comes out in November from Bloomsbury. Okay. And it is set in Ireland. So this is going to be a joyful read. Yay! And I'll tell Martine about it. Maybe she might want to read it too. Let's see here. This is a life-affirming novel about the Christmas season that transforms the small Irish town of Faha. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Martine. Dr. Jack Troy was born and raised in Faha, but his responsibilities for the sick and his care for the dying mean he has always been set apart from the town. His eldest daughter, Ronnie, has grown up in her father's shadow and remains there, having missed one chance at love and passed up another offer of marriage from an unsuitable man. But in the Advent season of 1962, as the town readies itself for Christmas, Ronnie and Dr. Troy's lives are turned upside down when a baby is left in their care. As the winter passes, father and daughter's lives the understanding of their family and their role in their community are changed forever. Set over the course of one December in the same village as Williams's beloved This Is Happiness, Time of the Child is a tender... Oh, this is a return! Okay, Time of the Child is a tender return to Faha for readers who know its charms, and a heartwarming welcome to new readers entering for the very first time. And Neil Williams lives in County Clare, Ireland. There he is. So I never read This Is Happiness, so I feel like I need to. Even though it says I can jump right in as a new reader, I think I'm going to check out the first book in this. So this sounds really good. This Is Happiness is probably the first book you might want to check out before you check out this one, and you have time because this one is coming out in November. So if you're interested in reading a heartwarming novel set in Ireland in the 1960s, this could be up your alley. But start with This Is Happiness and then Time of the Child. All right, guys. So that is this fiction edition. It was pretty comprehensive. I have a lot of books to talk to you about. And I'm trying to play catch up since I was gone last week. So I'm trying to get through what's in here on these desks and underneath the desks so I can get them shelved. And then I need to bring up the books that have come in that are downstairs still. But I've got a nice mixture of fiction and a lot of history, as always. That's what this is about. Anyway, guys, so until next time, let me know what you think of these novels, what particularly appeals to you. Let me know in the comments below if you just found my channel, if you're new to the channel by any chance, and if you have any questions about like the content that goes on here. Just know that if you were drawn by the fiction, there's just the fiction call out here, that I do them quite a bit. So, it pays just to follow me. Check me out. Okay? All right, guys. Well, I better get going. I'm heading out to a friend's house for dinner. I'm going to have a little social evening for once because all I do is work. So Martina and I are going to have a nice evening out with friends and a nice dinner. So I hope everyone out there is going to be having a wonderful night. And thanks for tuning in and staying with me. If you stayed this long, you win a medal. Okay? I'll find a way to get it to you. So until next time, BookTube, thanks for joining me here at the History Shelf. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.